Thanks to those joining me live and to those joining me on archive. DStyleBoxing here, doing a wrestling video. All right, check it out. And I know I've kind of touched on this for sure. And look, I'm going to be retouching on stuff because there's people that are starting to listen to me regarding wrestling, and I'm just gonna keep doing this. But um, I had a question on my inbox, and it was about, hey man, what's your issue with ECW? How could he not like ECW? They're saying it was the best wrestling they ever saw. And even said it wasn't all about chairs and tables and all that. They had some very good, wrestling, pure wrestling matches on there as well. Everybody always overlooks that, he said. Right now, look, I'm not here to tell people what to personally like. Like if ECW was for you, then that's great. Like I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. I didn't hate everything about ECW, and I do acknowledge that there's some positives about ECW, but I do believe that in the long term, it did a lot of damage to the business of wrestling. I will believe that till I go to my grave. Like nothing is going to change that. All right, like I'm just letting you guys know that right now. But let's elaborate. Let's dive in into my issues with ECW. Okay. Number one, let me address the first thing. Did ECW have, good just wrestling matches? Sure. I wouldn't rate any of them some of the best of all time, but yeah, sure. They had some good wrestling matches that did not involve tables and chairs. Fair enough. However, let's not kid ourselves. Let's not act like, the chairs were not necessary and the tables were not necessary and the big, spots were not necessary and all the Daredevil stuff was not necessary. Let's not act like they didn't go from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling. Let's not act like it wasn't known for its hardcore nature either. Let's not act like that wasn't a thing. Like everybody knows what the appeal was. All right. Now, I was a fan of a lot of the talent for ECW. I acknowledge that a lot of guys got their break through ECW. Now, you could argue some of these guys would have been eventually maybe have gone into the WWE anyway, maybe under a different path, right? But, guys like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho come to mind, all right? And even the ones that didn't go through to WCW and then WWF, like if you go with the RVD, for example, which I'm a fan. I was a fan of RVD. I was a fan of his work, right? And I honestly never felt that he needed chairs and tables to put on great matches. He was just a flat out a great worker, right? I talked about this, and I believe Triple H sabotaged him at a time when he was hot and he should have been champion in the WWE. Right, but put that aside. So I acknowledge that they had some good talent, but they also had, if we're honest, some trash talent. Like some of these wrestlers were just flat out trash. The Sandman is trash. I don't care what anybody tells me. I never saw the Sandman as this guy that was this, great worker at all. Right? Like it was. I was not impressed at all with a lot of these guys. New Jack, I was not impressed. Look at a lot of these guys. They they mutilated their bodies. Right then, that word almost didn't come out. I mean, UJ, how many blades did he fucking, slip through his fucking forehead? I mean, holy shit, have you seen his forehead? Now, a lot of old school wrestlers have that because they used to do a lot of cutting, right? Along with the chair shots to the head and all that, on top of that. A lot of these guys broke their bodies for Paul Heyman and for those fans in those small arenas. They broke their bodies. And so some of you may say, well, yeah, that's what made it good. It was extreme. Like a lot of these guys broke. I don't mean this like in a metaphoric sense. Like I mean literally, they broke their bodies just to get these cheap pops. For fans could chant ECW, they broke their bodies. Terry Funk Now, it wasn't like Terry Funk was doing it anyway, even outside of ECW, but broke his body. New Jack, I mean, just broke his body, you know. Sabu. And people say, well, they wanted to do this. They lived for it. It was their dream. They don't regret it. Okay, fair enough. Taz broke his fucking neck. A lot of injuries that these guys sustained. A lot of them for peanuts. They were making peanuts. That's not what pro wrestling's about. If you think that's what pro wrestling's about, that's your opinion. But that's not what pro wrestling's about. Look, I know that hitting the road and taking bumps in the ring and all that, that's going to take a toll on anybody's body. But let me tell you something. Hulk Hogan was doing a simple leg drop for, 30 years or so, right? I mean, had to have multiple back surgeries. Now, Hulk Hogan was someone who made multi-million of dollars, right? Hulk Hogan made millions upon millions, tens of millions, probably over $100 million throughout his career. So he could afford, right? Probably way more than that if you include not just his contracts, especially when he went to, from the WWE era, from AWA to the WWE era, and the early WWF, and then in WCW, Turner gave him a big contract. When he renegotiated the contract, got even a bigger contract, and then went back to WWE, got a contract there. Went to TNA, they paid him there. He had his own, reality show, and still sells merchandise till this day. Hogan's made hundreds of millions of dollars. I could bet you on that any day. But so he could afford those surgeries. So what about a lot of these ECW guys who are doing far crazier things than a leg drop? Far crazier things. No doctor in sight. And then, of course, you had, it's insane. Like, I remember Taz telling a story about how, they fucking walked into the hospital and they told him, your fucking neck's broken. And then they talk about the story like it's such a great thing. Like, yeah, ECW, they broke their necks. Like, well, why do you want them to break their necks? ECW, they took wheelchair shots to the head. What's the talent in that? Anybody can get a chair shot and get hit in the head. There's no talent in that. There's no art in that. There's no storytelling in that. There's no there's not being creative. Jumping off and look, the WWE is guilty too. They did it a lot with the TLC matches. And I'm not excusing them either. And I'm not even against the Daredevil stuff in general. I just think there's a place for it, and it should be rare. You should not be doing it every show. It should not be happening on every match. It was just, to me, it was the antithesis of what wrestling should be. And I won't get tired of bringing this up, but I'll always quote Bret Hart. And the quote always is, wrestling is supposed to look dangerous. It's supposed to look as real as possible, right? Without it actually being real. It's not actually supposed to be real. Your finisher is supposed to look devastating. Nobody's saying they can't hurt at all. Nobody's saying that it's not going to be a slam. Nobody's saying that it's not going to be, heavy shot, or, the term that they use is stiff. Being stiff is one thing, but being dangerous, doing a dangerous move just so people can mark out, has never made sense to me. And I know this because when I was way younger, I used to defend wrestling the same way, right? People will be like, wrestling's fake, right? And I'll be like, no, it's not. These guys, they jump off of ladders. They get hit in the chair. That's a real steel chair and stuff like that, right? It's predetermined and everything, but man, these guys take a real beating for real. And the more of a beating they took, the more I felt satisfied. Now, this was me at fucking 12 years old, though. Okay? Now, grown up, I've just realized that there's no purpose in that. There's no It glorified that. It became a glorified car crash. Basically, it's what it became. I mean, I remember just Sabu would do like the craziest spots, right? And people will go crazy and chant ECW. But like the spots just looked ridiculous. They were ridiculous spots. Like the guy literally had to lay there and not do anything until he finished setting up the whole thing. I mean, like really. Like I remember when he said, like I remember that one night stand. Now this was a WWE produced thing, okay? But Sabu set up a table between the ring apron and the barricade. Okay? Forget about how that could be dangerous to the people in the crowd. Forget about that, okay? I know, oh, be politically correct, style. Look, I'm just being serious. Forget about that. Rey Mysterio is on the table. Rey Mysterio stands up, and he's just waiting for Sabu. While he's standing up, he's just standing there. Sabu jumps up onto the top rope, and then I guess he did like a DDT or something. He jumps off and grabs him by the neck, and they did like a DDT through the table. Okay, I mean, yeah, it was a crazy spot, and people went crazy, and this, that, and the third. But it made no sense psychology-wise. None. It made no sense. You know, like that's always been one of my gripes with Sabu matches. They make no sense psychology-wise. None. Can Sabu put on a great match without having one of these crazy spots? Could he do it at a consistent basis? AJ Styles does it. AJ Styles could do what Sabu would do. He could do all that and more, to be honest with you. He could do a crazy spot like that, and he does once in a while. So it could mean something when it actually happens. But it just became, I mean, talk about just dismissing the psychology of wrestling altogether for the sake of giving people a crazy spot. Like to this day, I don't understand flaming tables. Why do they got to go through a flaming table for? For what? What is it going to do? Like, oh my God, it's a flaming table. Look, does it make you feel better? Like, does it, because they're going to get burnt? Like, does that make it better for you? Like, more real? Like, what does it do? What does it do exactly? I never got it. I never, even in WWE, when King would do it, I never understood why they're doing the flaming table spot. I never got it. I just didn't. Barbed wire. What's the point? What's the point? And God forbid they use something that looks like barbed wire. Now, it better be real barbed wire, right? Because it's got to be real. I never got it. I never understood it. I just didn't. And I'm a big fan of Mick Foley, but he didn't need to do all that shit. I was never a fan of the thumbtack spots, but people want to do thumbtacks. Why? Because that's what they want to show people that say wrestling's fake. So they could be like, look, they go through thumbtacks. You know what most people are going to say? You think they're going to all of a sudden become a wrestling fan? Like, oh, yeah, oh, fuck yeah. Bro, they go through flaming tables? I didn't know that. They slam each other on thumbtacks? I got to watch this shit. It's real to me now. Like, well, what do you think they're going to say? You know what they're going to say? They're going to say that's stupid. Why would they do that? What's the purpose of that? Now, and look, ECW is not alone in this. Vince enhanced it as well with the Attitude Era, and not as much, but ECW just went too far. It just went too far. So now when people watch a regular wrestling match, it's they want tables. We want tables, right? Now, little by little, especially if, man, once you get an AJ Styles in the ring, people forget about all that, right? They appreciate the matches. You could tell, right? Once a good match is going on, little do they know they never had a table. There was never weapons, okay? But I just can't get over a lot of this crazy shit. You know, it's this whole like, oh yeah, it was so dangerous. That's why it was the best. What? Look, I was a fan of the Dudley Boys, right? I was. I even like the Dudley. Hey, get the table. It's a cool spot, you know. But it's a table in the ring, whatever, right? Um, you know, Rob Van Dam, huge fan of Rob Van Dam. I think Rob Van Dam was an extremely talented, ahead of his time. All right, Rob Van Dam was ahead of his time, right? Like he was implementing kicks and all that when that was not a big thing in America. I'm not saying nobody was doing it, okay, but he was just doing it at a whole nother level. Now, I don't remember Rob Van Dam kicking somebody like for real against the chest, though, right? I don't remember that. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't remember any of that. All right? There were worked kicks, like they weren't real kicks. There's nothing wrong with making something to work. Like, till this day, like the blood thing, right? Now, the blood thing is a little difficult, and because I'm all for the blood, okay? And I know people say, well, I thought you weren't for this, you weren't for that. Well, I'll rather somebody blade themselves than cut themselves like for real. Now, when people are impressed when a wrestler gets cut for real, like he bangs his head against the ring post and he cut himself for real, like no blade, nothing. They're like, yeah, it's a real man right there. Like I don't get it. Like what? Are you kidding me? Self-mutilation should not be praised. It's, in my opinion, it shouldn't be praised, even if it is, because that's what it is. All right? Now, I understand that blading is threading that line, but look, here's what I remember. I remember when, I forgot what wrestler it was, and they were caught on camera putting fake blood capsules in their mouth. So they could be bleeding from the mouth, right? Now, look, you could tell when it's fake, right? But it's not a big deal. I remember wrestling fans were acting like it was such a big fucking deal. Like, oh my God, he's using fake blood capsules. You know, if they're gonna do it, they should use the blade. What's the big fucking deal? What's the big deal? Now I've always been the thought that blood should be at important moments, okay? To sell something. They should not be bleeding every fucking match. If they're bleeding every match, at some point, it's not going to matter, right? Like Stone Cold and Bret Hart, they wrestled more than once. Now, their last match that was noteworthy was at WrestleMania 13. Austin bladed himself against McMahon's wishes. Vince was against them blading at the time. Right, but that was it paid off for him. Now, but you see how that made him, and you see how that was a big moment for him. Now, if you look at Steve Austin today, okay, he doesn't have fucking 1,000 fucking scratches on his fucking forehead, okay, because he wasn't blading every fucking match. All right, he did it when it made sense. That's when he did the blade. He did the blading. I remember when people marked out at Brock Lesnar hitting Randy Orton for real with the elbow. What the fuck was that? I thought that was disgusting by the WWE. And I'm not blaming Orton and Lesnar because they both obviously agreed to do that. But what's the point of that? What are you doing? What are you doing? And the people were like, oh my God, it cut him for real. They were marking out for a real elbow to the forehead. Why? If you want to see real elbows to the forehead, go watch UFC, man. Like, what are you doing watching wrestling? You could go. There's actually a sport where they actually do that, like for real. Now, they're not letting each other do it. That's a big difference. But WWE, they kept showing the replay over. I'm getting tired of that shit. They're showing it over and over again. Like, I remember, like, the first one, I remember in his first match with Cena, he elbowed Cena in the forehead. Now, it was a work as far as they planned it. so Cena could bleed, and it could shock people. And oh my God, he's elbowing him for real, and people were marking out for it. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? He did it to Randy Orton about, what was it? Yeah, last year, 2 years ago. Elbowed him in the forehead. Give him an ugly gash in the forehead too. Right? And we know it was a work because when Chris Jericho was complaining about it backstage, Vince intervened and said, "Hey, it was a work." Right? He didn't shoot on Randy Orton for real. Right? But people were marking out for that. I'm like, what the fuck is that? First of all, it was underwhelming. Ending a match because with an elbow to the head, even though it's a real elbow, it's an underwhelming way to end the match. Okay? Let's just hit him with another F5 and then pin him. What the fuck are you doing? People are marking out to it. I'm like, why? Strowman hits Brock with a knee. Now, people are saying it was an accident, but the more I think about it, I don't know. I don't know if it was an accident. Because then Lesnar hit him with I believe it was a right hand. Now, he didn't wind up. He didn't hit him with everything, but he hit him for real. It was an arm punch, but he hit him for real. And the WWE, I mean, it was disgusting how many times they went back and showed that replay over and over and over again. I'm like, what are you doing? Now, to another extent, ECW, which is the topic we're at now, right now, okay, this is what they would do, right? They would do things that, shoot, this is a shoot. And that's a real chair shot to the head. Oh, he's really beating the shit out of him with a cane. Look at his body. It's all red. Look at all the red marks on him. Oh, yeah, it's so real. I was like, what the fuck's the point? And then they would bash dudes like Bret Hart that would use their hands so they take most of the impact from the chair. What's the big fuck? Well, so what if he uses his hands to take the impact from the chair? So what? Like, I don't even like Triple H, but when he uses a sledgehammer, where he kind of swings it, but he puts his hand on the actual sledgehammer and he hits guys, and people will criticize him. Oh, he's blocking it with his hand, man. What? Do you want him to swing the sledgehammer like for real to the guy's head or what? You guys are making no sense, right? What the hell is this? So there's always going to be a thread line. I get that. There's always going to be, a fine line as far as how much do you flirt with, giving people something. I get that. But ECW just went to a whole other level. And till this day, WWE has elements of it. And because they want people to mark out and, like the irony of it is that you're watching WWE, it's a work, right? 99.9% of the time they're throwing work punches. And the one, the one time they throw a real punch and land the real punch, you mark out like if you've never seen a punch before. I mean, it's fucking insane. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the hell is this, right? Right. Plus, there's also I forgot the name of this move. All right. Now, this has nothing to do with the ECW, but although ECW had ridiculous moves as well. But there's this move. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Like it looks cool, I guess, but the move makes no fucking sense, right? Like where a guy kind of does a flip, right? And the other guy lands on his back. Like they both flip in midair. It's not a believable move. Okay, I'm trying to remember the name of the move, right? I'm sure it'll come to me. Is it the Disaster? What the fuck's that move called? Let me look up that move. Maybe somebody can. Canadian Destroyer. Thank you, Prince White Charm. I was about to go search it. Like, call me old school. Call me whatever you want. That move is stupid, man. It's a stupid move. Look, I'm not saying it doesn't take talent to do it. Okay, I'm not saying that, but it obviously looks like the opponent has to do it with you in order for it to work, and I have a problem with that. Okay, whenever a move looks like they have to do it with you, like it's just I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that move. Okay, not a fan of the Canadian Destroyer. DStyle isn't a fan. No, but DStyle, you don't understand the precision. I'm sure it takes a lot of precision. I'm sure they got to do it just right. I get it. I just think it's a dumb move. Now, look, let me make sure I'm clear. In almost all moves, both guys have to work with one another to make it happen. Okay? I get that. But if it looks like both guys are working together to make that move happen, I have a problem with it. I'm not a fan of it. All right? If it's such a great move, then the guys that do it, right? Why aren't they selling out, stadiums? If that's what it's all about, right? Like if just doing acrobatic moves is what it's all about. And then Daniel Cormier, by the way, was a fan of wrestling. I didn't even know this. I remember he tweeted out this video, right, of ROH. Now, I'll be honest, I don't watch ROH. Okay? So I can't judge ROH as a whole. I can't. I'm a fan of Cody Rhodes. I was a fan of his when he was in WWE. I think he's a phenomenal worker. So I'm sure that they have good wrestling. But it was dumb, man. Like this they did this like spot where they kept doing drop kicks over and over and over, and then four of them did drop kicks at the same time. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? What am I watching? Like, are you shitting me? What happened to simulating a fight? What happened to that? Like, what's going on here? Like, what? We're just doing random moves just to do it now? Like, what's this? And don't tell me that guys can't do acrobatics and simulate a fight. Rey Mysterio did it. AJ Styles does it. Kenny Omega does it. Like, don't tell me it can't be done. You just have to pick your spots. And if I can't say to myself, yeah, I could maybe see that. Okay, all right. But just doing pointless shit, it's annoying. All right. Let me read some of these comments. All right. Prince White Charming. I like ECW because guys will kick out of top rope chair shots, but somehow get pinned 1, 2, 3 by a basic elbow drop. Well, I don't know if you're being sarcastic by that, but that's a good point, and that was fucking stupid. Right? Guys will kick out from like the craziest shit. I'm like, you just hit the spot, like where the dude got put to 2 tables and looked like he broke his neck. Okay, and then you hit him from the top rope with like a top rope pile driver into a table, and then the dude will kick out. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Just end the match right there. All right, like what's this? And then they would get hit by like by a simple suplex, and then it's over because that's the guy's finisher. I'm just like, what's this? Prince White Charm. I remember my dad catching ECW on TV, and he's like, what the fuck is this shit? WWE got rid of hardcore matches in ECW. It pretty much killed ECW. Yeah, well, I get it because that's what it's known for. You can't, oh, good job. You started up ECW. And I knew it was going to flop, by the way. I knew it was going to flop. ECW was never going to be what people think it was going to be. ECW wouldn't have worked. And people always say, oh, because he didn't have TV rights. It would have been big. And I have a hard time picturing ECW in like Madison Square Garden. They sold out. I have a hard time picturing it. Let me take it a step further. I have a hard time picturing ECW going all over the country in big arenas, selling them out. First of all, they didn't have a product that what people wanted to see. It was not going to sustain. It wasn't. Right? You couldn't have guys mutilate their bodies every week. You couldn't have guys break their necks every week. Right? It wasn't going to work. There's a reason ECW was a shooting star. It wasn't meant to last. It's an example of why you protect the business. It's an example why sometimes less is more, right? It is. ECW was like more. Feed me more. They didn't know where the line was. I mean, people mock like Cena and Reigns for kicking out of everything today. I saw dudes in ECW kick out of the craziest things. The craziest things. Like that dude just went through 3 tables. How the hell he kick out? What's the point of doing that spot if you're not going to sell it as a spot that can destroy a guy? What's the point of it? Like, why do it then? Why are those 2 guys on top of the ladder? Why are they looking at each other? Why do they brace themselves and then they both go down to the table? Why do they do that? I don't know. I remember I seen that spot where 2 guys like nod at each other and then they jump to the fucking table. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, what's okay? Like, what? Do you think Chavo Guerrero should be the WWE Hall of Fame? He was former ECW champion. Chavo, you could put him in the Hall of Fame. The only problem is I think he's suing WWE right now in a class action lawsuit. So good luck with getting in. Prince White Charming, I remember when Batista brutally KO'd Randy Orton by accident in the match. Well, look, accidents will happen, right? They do. The accidents happen. Like, it is what it is, right? I don't remember that, but I believe you. ECW is the shit, says Prodigy. It's not just flaming tables and kendo sticks. Are you the guy that messaged me under a different name or something? Right? Well, look, you could say it's not, but come on. It's like everybody, like every commercial you saw, every promotion you saw, every advertisement you saw, that's what they would show, right? And let's not act like that's not what they would show. Let's not act like they would kick out of these crazy spots, right? The only reason it wasn't just that because they couldn't just do that. These guys would die after a couple months, right? That's the only reason. Prince White Charming, the problem with ECW is the early days, in the early days, when so many of the wrestlers were out of shape and many had beer guts. I remember some that are definitely out of shape, okay? And I remember some that were just trash. They were not good wrestlers. They weren't. Like, they weren't good. Like, they had gimmicks, and like they had that one dude that all he did was chokeslam guys, but that's all he did. Okay, you had Mike Awesome. All he did was powerbomb dudes through the tables for the most part. Okay, like what you had dudes that they were just trash, in my opinion. And yes, I think Mike Awesome was trash. Prodigy, it was entertainment for the bros. Well, look, I'm sure it was entertaining, but at what cost? These guys broke their fucking bodies, all right? And it didn't fucking last. Okay, all that company did was lose money, never turned a fucking profit, right? And it hurt the business in the long run. That's all it did. Like, I know that sounds brutal, okay? Not everything was negative, you know? I wish that at the very least WWE had given Rob Van Dam the push he deserved, okay? Before Triple H fucking killed it, you know? But hey, what are you gonna do? ECW was an event. It was fucking awesome. They incorporated weapons into a wrestling match, which was cool as fuck. I get it. I don't have a problem with hardcore matches and weapons in matches, but at some point, I've always been in the belief that if you can't put on a great match without weapons, then you're not a good worker. You're not a good wrestler. If you need chairs and kendo sticks and tables and flaming ladders and did I just say flaming ladders? I doubt they had that. And ladders and flaming tables and trash cans and all that. If you need all that to put on a great wrestling match, Like, I'm not against that. I'm okay with hardcore matches, but if you can't put on a great match without that stuff, you're not a good worker. You're not good at what you do. Okay, hitting somebody with a chair, anybody could do that. Hitting somebody with a candlestick, anybody could do that. Getting put through a table, anybody could take that. Right? Mutilating your body. Maybe not everybody has the balls to do it, but anybody could do it. These guys broke their bodies, and for what? For what? So they could be in the library of the WWE Network for that? That's it? Prodigy, these fans that chant ECW at table spot guaranteed didn't watch it back in the day or probably haven't seen ECW before. That's possible. I still can't believe people are chanting ECW till this day. Like, you wanted it to succeed. Well, why didn't they watch it enough? Why didn't they buy the pay-per-views? Why did they let it fold? If they wanted to watch it so bad. Prodigy says ECW wasn't perfect, but it was fucking awesome. Edgy entertainment. I don't give a fuck. Look, they had some good storylines. They had great characters. Like, Raven was another character I liked. Okay, the Raven character was great. In fact, I didn't even have a problem with that whole Jesus Christ storyline. Okay, when they did the crucifixion or whatever, and he had to go out and apologize. I didn't even have a problem with that. Right? But I know people will be like, "Hey, come on, you can't do that." But you know. And look, you got to give Paul Heyman credit for hiding a lot of these dudes' weaknesses, and they had a lot, and just exposing their strengths. Some of them were very good on the mic, right? And some of them, that's why a lot of them were successful outside of ECW. Rob Van Dam, he was talented as shit. I didn't even have a problem with his mic skills. People always bash Rob Van Dam's mic skills. I think that laid-back persona fit him perfectly. I don't want Rob Van Dam to be talking like Shawn Michaels or Ric Flair or anything like that. Okay, that's not what I wanted. But that didn't fit his character. And then, of course, you had the Dudley Boys, very talented. Taz, very talented. But for a lot of these other, there's some that were just flat out trash. I'm being honest with you. I like Just Incredible. I think he was pretty talented too. Right? Good name too. But many of them, like, I was never a fan of Tommy Dreamer. Ever. I thought Tommy Dreamer was trash. Just being honest. Sandman was fucking trash. The dude was fucking trash. Like, I didn't get what people saw in that guy. Oh, he drank beer. He hit himself in the head with a beer can. He hit people with a cane. Okay. Right. None of these fuckers post-2000 have a lick of entertainment value. All right. Well, WWE needs a lot of entertainment value, that's for sure. Prince White Charming, it was edgy. Jenna Jameson was once in ECW and had a match against another porno chick, I think. Well, that tells you everything. I don't email people. Why opinions? I got you. Prince White Charming, ECW, find great talent like Lance Storm and Rey Mysterio. Those are two other guys that I thought were great workers. Lance Storm was a guy that I felt could have been a world champion. Like, I'm talking as far as, in WCW or WWE. But they never did anything with him. Lance Storm could have been, especially when Bret Hart went down with that injury and we knew he was done. Lance Storm could have been the next Bret Hart. I know that's quite the statement. I'm not saying he was as good as Bret Hart, right? But they could have done something with this whole Canadian thing. They could have. But they never really did much with Lance Storm. RVD, Blue Mini was a joke gimmick. Well, it was meant as a joke, so it is what it is. And Sandman was trash as a wrestler, but always made me laugh. All right. DStyle, have you ever seen the old backyard wrestling DVDs? I have not. I've never been an advocate of backyard wrestling and kids doing backyard wrestling, and I've never been an advocate of that at all. Right? So, You know, I still remember. What show was it? I'm trying to remember. It was like a talk show where these kids were doing wrestling in their backyard, right? And they did a whole segment. All these parents, you know, all these kids, they can't stop watching the, you know, WWF and WCW and ECW, and they're doing all this stuff in the backyard. And, da, da, da. And you know, one kid had broken his arm, and this other kid had fucked up his knee, and just to do stupid backyard wrestling, right? And ranging from the age of like 10 to like 16 and stuff like that. So that it's not like they were real little, you know. These were teenagers for the most part. And I'll never forget, Bret Hart comes out, and they were excited. Like, they were excited to see Bret Hart. Bret Hart was somebody, it was the world, I believe he was the world champion at the time. And, you know, they're seeing him, they were excited. Like, yes, Bret Hart. I believe he was in WCW at the time. You should have seen the look in these kids' face. They were so excited to see Bret. And I don't know what they thought. Like, I know they thought Bret was going to come out there and defend them. Like, let them do what they love, or I don't know what they thought. But I'll never forget, Bret Hart sits down, and I guess the host asked him, "What do you think, Bret?" And Bret Hart said, I don't remember verbatim, but it was something like, if I paraphrase, "Yeah, I think these kids should, you know, stop being stupid and go play some real sports. You know, like go play, hockey, baseball, football. You know, join the wrestling team, right?" And tell them they don't even know what a front face headlock is. You know, like they think, you know, hitting each other with chairs and jumping off shit and mattresses is wrestling. You know, that's what they think. Well, and I remember they went from smiles to they were just quiet. And I thought, good. I'm glad somebody fucking told them. Right? Because they weren't listening to their parents. They weren't listening to any of the experts and people in the audience, but I'm pretty sure they listened to Bret. And hopefully they showed some real sports. And there you go. What was New Jack going to tell them if he showed up? With fucking disfigured forehead and shit. What was he going to say? And yes, I think New Jack was trash. Sorry, guys. Okay? Let me see. I could go back here. Prince White Charming. They have West Virginia rednecks kids named the Confederate suplexing another redneck through a table from the roof of his house. Wow. Unbelievable. Prodigy. Jerry Lynn versus RVD. Hardcore Heaven blows anything for today. Period. Cut and dry. I never saw that, but Jerry Lynn is actually another guy that I felt was a hell of a talent. It was a hell of a talent. They never did anything with him outside of ECW. You know, I remember he joined WWE, had some good matches, and then I'll never forget, they made him light heavyweight champion, even though that title was trash and the division was trash. But nonetheless, they made him light heavyweight champion, and I think it was like a pay-per-view or something. They had him at WWE New York. Like, what the fuck is he doing over there? Like, why is he wrestling a match? But anyway. Man in Water. RVD is always smirking. Bugged me. Prince White Charming. I remember a backyard wrestling video where some kid pile drives another kid on a moving car. Unbelievable. WWF was his shit until Stone Cold. Post Hulkamania, says Prodigy. Well, I mean, for the most part, yes. There was a time where I'll say outside of Bret Hart, there was nothing much. Maybe Diesel, maybe Razor Ramon, maybe, but outside of that, you know, the rest of it was trash. Doink the Clown and the Dumpster Trozy. Remember that guy, whatever the fuck his name was, and Triple H and with that stupid gimmick. Like he was from England, like he was like a blue blood. Like, what the fuck is that? Right? I remember Goldust had just come out at that time. They had a lot of trash programming. There's no doubt about that. But Bret Hart was so awesome, though. Prince White Charming D-Style, did you rate Disco Inferno as a wrestler? He was actually all right. Wasn't a fan of the gimmick. Like you're not gonna be Disco Inferno and go anywhere. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just not. But I think he was a good worker, underrated worker. It just people overlook him because his gimmick sucked. Prince White Charming, Lance Storm used to have no personality gimmick in the WWE. Yeah, and then they would just bury his ass on commentary. But you know what though? Look, people could say what they want, but when Lance Storm would get on the mic and he would say, "If I could be serious for a moment," that was over. Okay, like people would boo, or okay, and when he would say, "Because I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada," okay, I think that was great. Like I think the guy was great. I don't know. I was a fan of Lance Storm. Prodigy, I hated the Dudley Boys. Wasn't a fan. Well, fair enough. Man in Water, the third was awesome. The 3D was awesome. I'm sorry. Yeah, I like the 3D. Prodigy, Ken Shamrock is one of the most underutilized wrestlers of all time. You know what? Ken Shamrock belongs in the Hall of Fame. He really does. Right? And I know he's expressed interest in wanting to go back to WWE. They won't call the guy. I don't know. What do they have against Ken Shamrock? I don't understand. You know? I mean, it's just they made amends with a lot of guys that they had a real beef with. I don't know what it is. I don't know what, I don't know. It would have been cool to see Ken Shamrock in the Royal Rumble. I mean, that would have been great. I would have been all for it. He's still in shape, by the way. Ken Shamrock is still in great shape. And Royal Rumble wouldn't be a big deal. Let him go out there. Let him eliminate like a Heath Slater. You're not doing anything with him anyway, right? And, let him last like a good 10 minutes or something and let him have his shine. And then announce it for the Hall of Fame. The dude should be Hall of Fame. He should. Right? Ken Shamrock should be in the Hall of Fame, man. And for those that are new to MMA and like, Ken Shamrock, I mean, all he does is lose. Like, you guys don't understand. At one point, Ken Shamrock was the shit. Ken Shamrock beat Bass Rutten, man. Like in his prime. Like when Ken Shamrock was all roided up and weighed 230 pounds and shit, like he was a fucking monster. Like he was the Brock Lesnar of his day. And yes, he was underutilized. Ken Shamrock should have came in and he should have been feuding with Shawn Michaels right off the bat. Right? If not Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart or somebody. Right off the fucking bat. Ken Shamrock already knew how to work. People don't know that. He didn't go to WWE and then he started training. Ken Shamrock had a background in wrestling. Okay? And I mean professional wrestling. He knew how to work. They should have made him champion. Right? Like, I'm thinking to myself, they're losing the ratings war. Right? And they're fucking around. They're fucking around. That's what they did. It's like, make this guy the champion. They should have made him champion. That way WWE could say our champion is more badass than their champion. All right? Our champion's a shoot fighter, whatever it is. Okay, the perception would have been there. And they should have sold him as a fucking beast. And to be honest with you, if they would have done that, I don't even think Ken Shamrock comes out of retirement from MMA. I don't think he goes back and takes his beating by Tito Ortiz. I don't think he goes through all these losing streaks that he went through at the later stage of his career. He probably stays in wrestling. Right? Prodigy, Mike Awesome is possibly the top 5 most underutilized wrestlers of all time. The guy was something out of this planet. Well, maybe I didn't see it. Right? Like if you have a match I can watch, so I could change my mind, shoot it out. I'll watch it on YouTube after this, or I'll try to find it on the network or whatever. Man of Water, when my friends and I try to do WWE wrestling, I would just turn it to a freestyle wrestling submission match. Well, there you go. Prodigy, Sabizi, Jerry Lynn was that dude. He was Italian, man. Hulk Hogan. ECW needed the Hulkster brother to be great. Yeah. Man in Water, Bret Hart is the most overrated wrestler of all time. You think so? Well, I don't know. It depends where do people rate him, in your opinion, and where do you think he is? So overrated doesn't mean, that you think he sucks. It just means you think they overrate him. So I'd like you to elaborate. Prodigy, Diesel, LOL. Roman Reigns is the only top guy to pass that level of garbage. That takes some talent. Hulk Hogan. Lance Storm is trash. Wow. Prince White Charming. I like Lance Storm. In ECW, he was good on the mic. If I could be serious for a moment. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And he had a lot of heat too, man, with that whole ECW thing. With that whole Team Canada thing. They were going somewhere with that. Yes, it was a little bit of a ripoff from Bret Sting in 1997. With the Hart Foundation and doing the whole, anti-America, pro-Canada. And yes, it was a little bit of a ripoff of that, and that's probably why I liked it. But they were going somewhere with that. Like, that had they had something there. All right. It's probably just the fuck you say. I guess the Bret Hart comment. Prince was charming and a great technical wrestler. Yes, he was. Didn't he say that a lot too? He always bragged about being a good technical wrestler. ECW was hardcore, says the boxing historian. Shamrock's too old. Yeah, but just have him come out. Like, have him come out in the Rumble. Just one more appearance. First of all, I think it would have been over. A lot of people in the MMA community were watching because, the rumors of Ronda Rousey making her debut. So if Shamrock came out, it would have been over. It would have been huge. It would have broke the internet. I could almost guarantee it. Manowar, it's true. I never got the appeal. His mic skills were meh, and his wrestling was also meh. Well, okay, Bret Hart isn't for everybody, bro. Wrestling's about opinions. I don't get mad when somebody doesn't like a wrestler I like or whatever. Bret Hart's my favorite of all time. And there is a bias there because since I was a kid, I like Bret Hart. So I get that. Somebody else could look at Bret Hart and they don't see the same shit I see, But I like his psychology. He's one of the best psychologists in the ring, in my opinion. He wrestled a different match, whether he wrestled Diesel. He made Diesel look good. Okay? Like, he made Kevin Nash look fucking good. But whether he wrestled Diesel or Shawn Michaels or Yokozuna or Bam Bam Bigelow or Razor Ramon or Owen Hart, it was always a different match. It was a different story. He didn't forget that his right arm was hurting. Okay? He didn't forget that somebody was working on his ankle. He always sold so well. And, but if it's not for everybody, I'll agree on the mic skills. Bret Hart was not the best on the mic. He wasn't. Bret Hart was very fortunate that they did not do a lot of live TV. He would record a lot of his promos. Okay, and if you guys go watch Wrestling with Shadows, there's this one spot where they're retaping his promos over and over again. Now, he did get better, right? He really did. In 97, that was Bret Hart's best year, in my opinion. Being anti-USA and pro-Canada, that to me was the best Bret Hart. He had his best fucking year. When he went heel, right, after WrestleMania 13, talking about, you guys turn on me. I won the match. Why are you cheering for Austin? It was a little whiny, but it was a heel now, and it went over. I mean, it hit a nerve, and it really did help catapult, Stone Cold. Stone Cold was ready. He was red hot at that time. And if it wasn't for that accidental, when Owen pile drived him right on his fucking head, it wouldn't have taken Stone Cold another year to beat WCW in the ratings. It would have happened way sooner. All right, Montreal probably doesn't even happen. They would have probably been ready to put the belt on Stone Cold, way before that Survivor Series. And maybe we never have to get, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. The whole screw job never happens. Bret Hart probably never leaves. But Stone Cold got hurt, and Bret Hart was really the only one carrying the company. But Vince didn't think it was worth it anymore to pay him what he was paying him. He was paying him like over $1 million at the time. That was a lot of money, you know. And so he maybe never goes to WCW because Austin would have gotten red hot, and they would have overcame WCW in the ratings, and there was less worry about the state of the company. Maybe Bret never leaves. Maybe we get Bret Hart versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 14 instead of that trash match of Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold, which nobody ever says is trash, but it was. Like Tyson was the enforcer, which made it cool, but the match was trash, right? But anyway. Prodigy, Ken Shamrock theme song is the top 10 of all time. The guy had pretty much everything. I'm having a hard time remembering the theme song in my head, but I'm having a hard time remembering it, but I believe you. He beat Bass twice. Actually, yeah, he did. Yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, he did. Hulk Hogan, Ken versus The Rock was great. Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of people that followed The Rock's career will even tell you that was part of what early on helped, kind of like Bret helped Stone Cold, that helped The Rock. He wasn't great on the mic, though. Great wrestler, though. Shamrock wasn't that bad. He's underrated on the mic, I think. I don't think he was that bad. All right, Prodigy, if you call Bret overrated, I'm sorry, 410. You're all right. Man of what? I guess I can't really judge Bret Hart since I didn't start watching wrestling until around 2001, but he was a lackluster during his comeback. Well, look, if you judge Bret Hart by WCW, I mean, that was horrible. Aside from his match with Benoit, which I know is a name wrestling fans don't want to say for understandable reasons, his match with Benoit in WCW and his match with Dean Malenko, those were the two best matches he had. You know, all the other matches were fucking trash. You know, but his matches with Goldberg were trash. Although Bret's the only guy I know that could carry Goldberg for like a match over 10 minutes. You know, he pulled it off somehow, even though Goldberg ended up ending his fucking career, but he pulled it off. You know, looking back, I'm pretty sure Bret wishes he would have just let Goldberg squash him. You know, because he would never have been injured. Like if Goldberg would have just spear, jackhammer, oh my God, he beat Bret Hart in 2 minutes. You know, Bret would still have a career today, right? Probably would have been retired by now, but still. A match I wish would have happened, and even Bret said this, and Kurt Angle said this. I don't know. I think Kurt Angle wasn't aware that Bret had that career-ending injury. But he would always say, man, when Kurt would say, when I would go back, he studied Bret Hart a lot. Like he learned a lot from Bret Hart. You know, and when you think about it, Kurt Angle's like a more athletic, and as much as Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler of all time, he's just better than Bret. Okay? Just overall, even on the mic, he's better than Bret. That's not saying much, but because Kurt's real good on the mic. But Kurt Angle's like the steroid up. He's like the hulked up version of Bret. Like, you know, like it's at a whole nother level, you know, Bret times 10, like, you know, but anyway, maybe 10's too big. It's Bret times 2. But anyway, he studied Bret Hart a lot. He learned a lot from Bret, you know, and the psychology of Bret Hart. And he always said, I always wanted to have a match with Bret, you know, and Bret, I remember I used to read his blogs. Back when blogs, and remember when people had their own website before social media and all that, like they had their own websites, and they still do today, but it was big. Like going to specific websites was a bigger deal back in the day. And I would go to BretHart.com and I would read his blogs, and he talked about wanting to wrestle Kurt Angle, but he can't. You know, he said, I would love to have had a match with Kurt Angle, but I can't do it. My career's over. I had this career-ending injury. There's nothing I could do. But, I mean, could you imagine? Like, if Bret Hart never got that career-ending injury, and he, for whatever reason, made amends with Vince, which is still a challenge, but let's say that would have happened. Just imagine at a WrestleMania, Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle. I mean, that would have been huge. And they would have put on an amazing match. No doubt about that. Hulk Hogan. Ken versus Stone Cold could have happened. Yeah, they should have done it. Prodigy. Bret Hart. Bret never had to talk. His wrestling psychologist talked for him. All right, Hulk Hogan. Bret Hart's wrestling was perfect. Sorry, brother. Right, Hulk Hogan. You're giving Bret Hart props. Right, Bret Hart is good on the mic. He was solid on the mic, but yeah, he was at his peak then. Says Blood Boxing Returns. I believe he's talking about Bret Hart '97. You know what's funny? Like, was Bret really lying? Like, for half of the shit he said about America was like true. like man, with a character like that would work today. It would, you know. Prodigy. Undertaker's left handlebar on his Harley is more charismatic than Roman Reigns. Well, it's not saying much for that handlebar. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. Wow. What HBK versus Austin was good, brother. Was it? I thought the match sucked, man. Like, it was cool because Tyson was, like, the hype was great. Tyson was there, and DX was at its height, and, you know, and all that. But I thought the match was, for being a WrestleMania main event, like, if you compare it to Stone Cold, you know, versus Bret Hart the year before, I would have rather have had Bret Hart versus Stone Cold again. And I think, and this time with Stone Cold going over and Bret Hart being heel, if they would have gone with that, that would have been big. You could have still had, you know, Tyson as the enforcer. They kind of copied the whole thing they did the year before. If you guys remember, the enforcer for Stone Cold versus Bret was Ken Shamrock. You know, so they had already done that. But there you go. All right, I wasn't a big fan of Hogan until he turned heel, says Prodigy, and Bloodboxer says NWO. NWO. Prince White Charming. William Regal is underrated on the mic. William Regal is a hell of a worker. That dude, I mean, technical skills is top notch. No doubt about it. Goldberg has Conor McGregor's genetics tired after 10 minutes. All right. Well, at least Conor's like in a real fight. You know, it takes a lot. I would say. I don't know. It's hard to say, but yeah, Goldberg. He wasn't meant to go over 10 minutes. That's for sure. Prince White Charming. Kurt Angle, probably my favorite wrestler of all time. Hulk Hogan, Eddie Guerrero as champion versus Bret would have been incredible. They could have done that too. That would have been great. That would have been awesome. Bret Hart versus Rey Mysterio. I think that would have been a great match. That's another match that Bret said he wished he could have had. He said he had a lot of ideas. Hulk Hogan, Eddie Guerrero as champion. I read that. Prodigy says Goldberg's Pyro was more entertainment value than all WWE programming from 2004 to 2018. Prodigy. Kurt Angle also made out with a tranny for 7 years. No joke. Look it up. What? I don't know. Hulk Hogan. I agree. It wasn't great, but remember, HBK was injured. Well, I mean, you know, I'm just saying, like, you know, it's not my fault he was injured. I'm just judging the match for what it was. Prodigy. Kurt Angle is what, Bret? Nothing but a homo. Sorry about that. You guys remember Bret Hart's promo where he tells HBK and Triple H, you guys are acting like a bunch of homos. Like, there's no way that they would do that. Like, anyone would say that in WWE today. There's no way. It wouldn't happen. Regal is overrated, says Prodigy. You know what, though? Regal versus RVD at WrestleMania. Great match, man. I love that match. I think that's one of the most overrated matches in WrestleMania history. Great match. Man in Water. Hogan was like the nerdy old man in NWO. Hall and Nash were actually cool. And Hulk Hogan, I'm the coolest thing around, brother. All right, 7 hours, says Prodigy. All right. Remember Sean is a gay chant. They had a Sean is gay chant? Did they? I remember when Shawn Michaels Like Bret was cutting a promo, and Shawn Michaels was outside the ring using his hands to gesture like he is sucking a dick and caressing balls. And I'll never forget like Bret Hart's look. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels ran to the back. Bret Hart proceeded to exit the ring, walk over to Vince, and be, what the fuck is that? And Vince stayed quiet. And I don't know, man. Bret Hart was like, you're going to fucking let him get away with that or something like that. Okay. And Bret's mad. Like, Bret's mad because like his kids watch it, and he's thinking about that. There's kids in the crowd, and here's Shawn Michaels acting like he's sucking a dick. Okay. It's just disgusting, right? And I know, I till this day, I believe it was a shoot. You know, he pushed Vince. Vince got up, and then you see Owen Hart and the British Bulldog trying to restrain Bret. You know, and Vince is being restrained, I believe, by Jerry the King Lawler. It was great television, but I don't think that was part of the script. Bret was pissed. Bret was pissed. Look up NWO WCW promo. Hogan seems out of place. Now it should be New Day is gay. Yeah. Who is the greatest jobber in WWE history? Okay, Kentai, Brooklyn Brawler by far. By the term jobber, Brooklyn Brawler all the way. Look it up, DStyle. It's not actually joking. It wasn't a Howard Stern show. Wow. MT, HBK is great, but sometimes questionable. Right. I meant Regal was underrated. Typo. I got you. All right. Shawn Michaels equals broke back cowboy. I've always suspected that Shawn plays for the pink team. I've always suspected that. I remember when Bret would call him Boy Toy. To this day, I laugh at that. Like, I'm like, why are you calling him Boy Toy? Did Bret know something we didn't know, or what's, or that we don't officially know? Why is he calling him Boy Toy? Whose Boy Toy was he? You know, was he Vince's Boy Toy? To this day, I wonder. But anyway, or maybe he got it out of the song. Who knows, right? Like, I don't want to read too much into it, right, at all. Shawn Michaels probably bisexual or bi-curious. Now a born-again Christian. Now you got to wonder, him becoming born-again Christian, is that to overcompensate for some of the thoughts he was always having or something he did in the past, right? Doesn't have to be that, but I'm just saying. Look, people could be whatever the hell they want, but Shawn, it was always, I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he came out of the closet. It wouldn't shock me. Like, would anybody be shocked if Shawn Michaels came out of the closet? Like, if Brock Lesnar came out of the closet, I would be shocked. I would be, what? But if Shawn Michaels came out of the closet, that wouldn't shock me. HBK did date Sonny. Bret versus Warrior would have happened too. Bret versus Warrior, I believe, was supposed to happen. But Warrior ended up bailing. Shawn is nothing but a homo. There are rumors The Rock is gay. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's gay or not, you know. But they could always be bisexual, but to me, it's gay either way. You know, if you're a guy and you like that, you're gay. I don't care if you like, you know, women too. You know, I'm just saying. Like, I understand the specific. No, it's bisexual. Like, it's gay, right? But, you know, whatever. Let people be. People could be what they want, right? Whatever. It's cool. Doesn't mean they are when they act that way, you know, but I'm just saying. Like, I don't know. Is Goldust gay? Like, could he be heterosexual and feel very comfortable doing some of the stuff he was doing? Doesn't do it so much now, but back in the Attitude Era, or even before the Attitude Era, Like that angle he was doing with Roddy Piper and Razor Ramon, where you would like rub his hands all over their bodies. Like, is that like, can you be heterosexual and feel comfortable in a storyline like that? I don't know. The Rock is bisexual, says Prodigy. I don't know. Now we're talking about who's bisexual, and I don't know. I have no idea. So is Kurt Angle too, or was Kurt Angle deceived by a tranny, or did he know it was a tranny? See, now that's the question to ask. Okay. All right. Hogan says he's the best ever. Prodigy. A bisexual guy is rare to find. Every girl from 15 to 25 is bisexual. Wow. Well, there you go. All right. So I don't think they're that hard to find, bro. I've seen some of these kids nowadays. Like, it's not that hard to find, right? Biggie is gay. I don't know if he is or not, man. I don't know, right? Who fucking knows, right? I can't say whether they are or they're not. Okay, I just want some badass wrestling back on TV. Okay, that's what I want. Pre-neck injury, Stone Cold versus Goldberg. You know, it wouldn't have happened because they were not going to find an agreement. But if they could have worked out a Goldberg versus Austin match on pay-per-view, that would have sold a lot. All right, that would have broken our records at the time. He found out it was a show. Wow. Did he want to like kill this person? He didn't care. Wow. The ultimate dream match of dream matches. Oh yeah. Vince is gay for Cena, Shawn, and Reigns. All right. With that said, you know, I think I gave my thoughts earlier in the video about ECW. For anybody just tuning in, you can always go back and catch the rest on archive. Don't really have much else to say. Okay, I've kind of covered everything I wanted to cover, so there you go. All right. If you guys have any last minute questions, shoot them right now. By the way, don't forget to thumbs up the video if you just started watching or you've been watching. All right, just thumbs it up. Can I get this shit up now? There we go. I do have a Hulkster versus Austin, the Ultimate Dream match. Why didn't it happen? Because Hulkster didn't want to work with Stone Cold. All right. Okay, the China was a world famous con artist. Wow. Wow. Holy shit. Didn't like his wife end up marrying like Jeff Jarrett? It's kind of weird, and they were in the same company. Or versus Flair back in the day, WrestleMania 8. Well, that match never happened. So there you go. All right, guys. I think I'm good. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm out of here. Peace.